Good afternoon, everybody. We are back with some scrap mechanic. It's been a very long time since my last video, but I have not stopped spending the hours. Oh my goodness, the amount of hours I spent in the last month or so trying to develop these cars has been insane. I hope you guys enjoyed that little montage or music video. I don't know what to call it. That little video that kind of showcases the end result. But this video today is going to be about the process, just the mechanics inside of it. Just showing off what I did. You guys saw my original tiny, I think they're called Top Logic Racers. So these bad boys, these tiny things right here, not a lot of control. They just did one thing. They went forward, they turned once they saw the ceiling tile, and they attempted to straighten themselves out through a very rough compass that's on a bearing right here, as you can see, using these little two sensors right here. And they worked. I mean, they were semi-fast. They weren't super fast, but they did the job, you know. Actually, those are actually pretty fast. Hold on a second. What is this setting at? Huh. But anyways, yeah. So I decided, doing this in vanilla is cool and all, and it actually works for challenge mode. So I can create tracks in challenge mode for these cars and have them race through that. But it's also not very dynamic, and you can't really get a whole bunch racing at the same time without something going wrong, especially if they hit each other and the compass gets all messed up and everything gets all thrown out. So I decided, hey, I'm just going to use mods. And this is what I came up in as a result. This massive behemoth of a thing. I didn't need to make it this big, but I feel like just to make things easier, especially when collisions happen, bigger is better, and it works. And it looks cool too. Like, I think these look pretty nice. I will show off, let me delete this real quick. What the original idea was basically I needed to use the compass. This is pretty much the brain of the entire car when it comes to adjusting itself to the compass, knowing which direction it's trying to go in, and receiving instructions as well of syncing instructions. So this is a compass. As you can see, I use the Modpack's compass. It always faces north. And so I have this facing the front of the car. And essentially what happens is it does two angles of checking. So this right here is kind of a synchronizer board that has to set each position. It's kind of hard to describe. There's a bug with the memory panels that keep erasing multiple levels of memory. And so I have to use this to sync up each car wirelessly using these little wireless control thingy bobbers. And yeah, so that's a little bit complicated. You can ask me if you want. We can do a separate video on how this works. But essentially, it uses angles. So it uses 0. So north is 0 degrees. So it uses 1 and -1. Let's just pretend that that's 1 and -1. That's the direction it's supposed to be going in. And this is -89 to -91. So I have a 1 degree difference. And if I wanted to, I can change it to 2 degrees, 3 degrees, just kind of leniency for how much off track we want it to go. But for this, 1 works the best because it's, straight. So yeah, so once you do that, you hit this button here and it automatically goes and selects through each memory panel and synchronizes them. So now these cars should be synchronized to go forward, left, right, and straight. And so if you want to press that again, you can do it again. The wheels will give a little wiggle to kind of show that they're working. The GT versions, the lights will go on and then they will turn right back off. But I'll get more on that later. Moving on to this. This was my most recent creation. I'll just show the connections here. This wasn't too bad. It was not a lot. But this right here was not fun at all to figure out. But I did it. So this is a car selector. This counts however many cars you need or have on running. So you can have 3 cars running. This resets everything back to 0, which is always important to press this before you start a race. This is how many cars? So 3 cars running. It'll only go first, second, third, and then reset back to 0. Assuming that this checkpoint thing works as well, which I'll get more on that later. And so essentially these first 2 here are lap counters. So it's the 0th place, 10th place, and that corresponds with how many laps you want. So you can have like 3 laps, 4 laps, and once it reaches 4 laps, it will stop the timer over here. And this right here, I'll just, here, I'll turn it on. and I'll see what happens. Hopefully it works. Hopefully nothing too broken happens, but maybe. Maybe it will. This light right here should go green, and once it goes green, these cars will start, starting these timers, or this timer and this final timer right here. So this is kind of like the current lap timer, just to see where each car is at on their own current lap. It will reset every lap, which is when it crosses this line or goes past this checkpoint right here. This right here is the best lap timer. So basically, it takes the fastest of all of these cars, of all the cars' laps, and puts it right here. And these lights will light up depending on which car has the fastest lap. So you can kind of see who's got the fastest lap. The record for this track, which still needs to have some work done on it, by the way. I still need to figure out how to make a good track. This goes for pretty much all the tracks. Yeah, so on this track, I forget how long it is, but for the slower cars, excuse me, wow, slower. It's a really long, it's like 3 minutes a lap or something like that, so it's pretty long, but that's how it goes. And then this right here shows the last lap, just kind of which car with the last lap. I probably could do fastest of the last lap as well, but I don't really care for that. Like, nobody really cares who had the fastest of their last lap. Usually the person in front would have that. Anyways, these are counted up in seconds. As you can see, I did not convert them to minutes, seconds. These are just total seconds, and that could be a problem for longer races. But the problem I ran across is the more connections I had, the more laggier it got, the more cars I had. So if I took off this board, I could have up to like 20 to 30 cars running at a time. But with this board, it's set for 8 cars. So you can have up to 8 cars at a time. And I feel like that's good, but it still causes some lag with all of this going. And then for this, I did convert to minutes and seconds. As you can see, we have 2 minutes, 10 seconds going on so far. And the cars are about like a quarter of the way there, if even. Well, they're a little bit over a quarter of the way. They've still got some more going. I'll show you the track later as time goes on. I'm just rushing through this real quick because I don't want to waste anybody's time. And this is the car, or the... Oh, this is an outdated version of the board. Okay, I was a bit confused for a second. Like, there's a bit missing here, but it's okay because I have an updated version that I'll show you guys. Anyways, that's enough of the boring stuff. I forget exactly what I was talking about before I got interrupted there, so there's probably some weird jump cut. So, talking about this timing board, I have an updated version. I'll show it off probably later when I show off a different track. This is just kind of like a test. But yeah, as you can see now, it's been 5 minutes. And we're coming across the end. The cars are coming on this home stretch. And essentially, what I wanted to do, if you guys remember my last video with the whole checkpoint thing, I had all the sensors up top going across. But since that didn't really work so well, I wanted to use the, what's it called, sensor? This is like the orientation sensor of the mod pack. And it uses a series of angle checking floors and whatever. And once it crosses like a certain threshold of like 90 degrees right here, it sends out a tick, and that tick, hopefully it'll show off. So like these cars just crossed the line, and looks like something broke. Anyways, once it passes the line, it sends off a tick through each receiver. So each color has its own receiver, and that ticks up the counter by 1. So the lap counter is now lap 1. And it has a little place, so like whatever came in first sends in a 1, whatever came in second sends in a 2. I have an updated version of this board that should be a little bit better at this, hopefully. But if not, then I'll need to fix that out as well. And so that shows up there. And then once it reaches the amount of laps it needs to reach, this clock will stop. The light will turn on of whichever car won. And I also have a place thing as well on my updated version of this full board. And then these starting lights are actually necessary to get the cars going. As you can see, there's a little bit of tiny logic here. There's some timers that receive the output, the wireless output of the clock being started, and then turns on these lights. It waits like 10 seconds-ish. So it's like 3 seconds when it hits yellow, 5 seconds for red, and then hits green and everything starts. And it works. So that is the stable version of this racetrack course thing. Some of you guys may recognize this creation. I just modified it to be flying. So I don't take credit for this creation, this like car right here, but it's what I used to get around. So This course right here is a long course for preferably faster cars. These cars, as you can see, are not that fast, but they work the best when it comes to trying to pass each other and contact as well. They don't flip, they don't do wheelies as easily, but it has happened. So this course right here is a good going forward. There's a left turn, there's a right turn, there's a hairpin right here, and this one is a really interesting hairpin. Then we're heading south, and I had a really large problem with southbound directions in the compass because it's really weird with the numbers, the way they set that up. So we go nice little corner here, another corner. Yeah, all these corners are 90 degrees. We don't have any curves because, you know, scrap mechanic, there's not a lot of great curves. And then we have another left turn going westbound, I believe. Oh no, that's east. Going east here. And then we have a right turn. So we have a pretty good mix of rights and lefts. Of course, we have more lefts and rights because that's the way the circuit goes. We have a little chicane right here with a left turn falling straight into the right. And this is where some interesting passes happen. I've seen that in the past. No pun intended. Then we have a nice little left turn going into a strange chicane hairpin. So we got a complete U-turn right here. And then straight into another right turn. And then we got to sprint to the finish. And it's a pretty decent straight. You can get some pretty interesting passing mechanics right here. And I will actually show them off right now. So that is the track. I will say that I eventually want to start like a racing league of some sort going, which is pretty cool. I think it was a pretty cool idea. Of basically, we can have people who want to sponsor cars, or people can vote or bet on whatever. Maybe not bet, but or whatever they want. Vote, bet on a car that they want to live, or of course they want to live, but also that they want to win. And I will have races, specific races, maybe different. Well, definitely different tracks as well. They're all the same. Each one has a different, or I mean, not different. They each have a different color, but they all have the same exact mechanics inside, where they go straight, left, right. They have 3 sensors up front, so sensor for them to slow down. This is a sensor for their drafting, a drafting sensor, so they speed up if they're directly behind a car, and if they get too close, they start to back up. They also have turning sensors here, so like little distance sensors, so they know which way to turn depending on if they're going to hit a wall or another car. This is a slight adjusting sensor, as you can see, so they can spread out a little bit, not too close. And that's pretty much all there is. And then there's these top sensors here are for checking for which direction they're going to turn. This is basically based off of the same concept of the last track pieces that I've had, and I'm still working on a good way to do that, but if you have any ideas, let me know. So let's synchronize these cars. They should, like I've said before, wiggle a little bit. There's got those red lights that turn on, they're little brakes lights, and then they go off, and they should be synchronized. I'm going to do it again because sometimes things go weird, so that's that. But anyways, let's just follow one of these cars around the track. And let's just go for, let's see, this car will have the outside line. So we have an invisible seat right here that we can kind of sit in. So it looks like we're just kind of sitting in the car. It's pretty funny. But here we go. Lights turn green and we're racing. These cars are, as you can see, substantially faster than the previous cars. Hence their large spoilers in the back. That was funny. But it causes a lot of weight, makes them do wheelies. So for these cars, they're fast. But every time they hit a turn, they have to slow down or else their turning mechanics get pretty screwed up. And they do like to end up going in a line, which works well for their drafting mechanics because I have it set so that if a car is within like 180 or 70 blocks, which is about the width of this straight, a little bit shorter than the width of this straight, away from another car, there is a thing that speeds them up. So like as you can see with the blue car right there, just tried to make a pass using the drafting system that is implemented inside of it. And here's another turn. The hairpin has gone well for most of the cars. Red could do a little bit of work, and now he's outside the drafting zone. But we can watch as blue gets behind this white car here, and we'll start, doesn't have enough time to do it before he gets into the turn, but we'll send him wide most likely. Or no, shoot, things are going pretty well. Oh, red has caught up substantially as well. White just got sent out through some random physics bugs, which is also a problem that I've run into when creating these cars. When there's a lot of pieces and logic going on, the cars tend to, or just most creations tend to just explode with random impacts whenever they're touching the ground. So that's a bit strange. And it looks like red is going to make a good pass on white and then keep going, maybe catch up to blue. We'll see what happens. Not sure if that's going to happen or not. Blue's going to have the inside line, so is white. So, but anyways, so yeah, besides a bunch of random bugs and physics problems, these cars are pretty much flawless. There will be times where they'll turn across each other and flip each other over even if they're going that fast. So like this might happen right here with red and white. We'll see what if it happens. And yeah, there we go. We have a little bit of contact, no flipping, but they've recovered very well. And in fact, I would say it even made it more interesting. So contact is legal in this new racing league for scrap mechanic AI racers. And if there's a flipping that happens, we can have some sort of yellow flag that stops the car, all the cars on their tracks, and then we'll allow them to get reset depending on how bad the crash is. Because sometimes the wheels will get broken too. That's also a thing. But yeah, so we're coming along on this final lap. White has made a huge move into first, completely pushed blue out the way. And we have red not quite in the draft, but also in the draft. So it's kind of hard for him to see, but he might actually get the draft and pass blue. As you can see, he's gaining on him a lot using white car's draft. And I say him and her. I probably shouldn't, gender them. I can just say it. But yeah, so red just gets the final pass right before the line. See, so races like that are super interesting to watch for me. And I've been really addicted to racing games lately. And I forgot to reset this. But as you can see, I don't know how to describe it. But that was a 1 minute and 86, or not 1 minute, 186 second lap or so. And it looks like white has the fastest time right now with a really bad reset. So it's not quite perfect. The timing on this thing isn't quite perfect, but we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. I'm excited though. It's going to be a pretty good day. I'm excited for the new racing league that I'm going to start up. I will say, I guess put this out a help wanted ad right now for people who want to help film, because it's kind of hard to kind of keep an eye on this board, keep an eye on the track, keep an eye on however many cars there are out there and interesting stuff, especially like a finish line timer, because there's no multi-camera mechanics here in scrap mechanics, so it can't really switch between people easily. And yeah, so if you want to help out, let me know. Join the Discord, message me on Discord, or write a comment on the YouTube channel comments, or this, send something. Basically, contact me some way you can, and let me know that you're ready to help out and potentially do something really awesome. So this was kind of inspired by a lot of different things, and we can talk about that in a further video. But for now, that's pretty much what I have, and I will have another updated video that kind of showcases a small race. But until then, I hope you guys have a great morning, afternoon, night, or evening, and I will see you next time.